Well, good morning, and thanks for joining us here on Market Day Report. Happy Monday to you. I'm Suzanne Alexander. Well, we continue coverage now on the newly proposed regulations for the 45Z clean fuel production credit. The long-awaited guidance represents a pivot in how the U.S. government incentivizes energy. Roger McEowen with the Washburn School of Law joins us now for more on this. Roger, a pleasure as always. Let's talk about the main highlights here with this guidance, starting with the North American mandate. What does this say?
Yeah, good to be with you, Suzanne. Well, earlier this month, at the beginning of February, the government came out with some proposed regulations, and it does cement what's commonly known as a North American First strategy. And what that is they're dealing with an issue that for years, producers have had to compete with imported feedstocks. And so this new North American only mandate changes the competitive landscape. And credits are only available for fuel that's produced from feedstocks grown in the US, Canada, or Mexico. So that removes the threat of cheap imported sugarcane ethanol, for example, from Brazil, or used cooking oil from Asia from undercutting domestic corn-based fuel. So it effectively creates a protected economic zone for North American corn and soy.
That is great. Another big one, removing indirect land use change penalties. The IRS has lowered the entry bar for domestic corn, ethanol, and soy biodiesel. Expand on this a little bit.
Yeah, this was in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, and it explicitly directs that for fuel that's produced after 2025, the emissions rate, which is what determines the tax credit value, is calculated without regard to emissions that are attributed to indirect land use changes. And so by removing that, now that's a factor that would typically penalize crop-based biofuels like corn ethanol and soy biodiesel for the hypothetical carbon cost of converting new land to agriculture. The OBBBA significantly lowered the carbon intensity score for those fuels, and it makes them eligible for higher tax credits. And I'd say more specifically, the new 45Z CF GREET model that's mandated in the proposed regs that just came out, that value for corn and ethanol produced after 2025 is set at zero for these indirect land use changes. That goes to zero. So that's going to create probably about a 20 to 25 point windfall on the CI score, a drop of it for ethanol plants. Now, if you net out the audit cost of that, it's probably 15 to 20 points. So what that means is you get a higher credit.
Yeah, absolutely. Big win, no doubt, for producers. Often concerned farmers about sharing farm data with the government. Talk about the data privacy, the qualified certifier.
Yeah, that's always a big issue for producers. And the proposed regs address that by allowing a qualified certifier to act as a barrier. And that certifier is going to review the farm's privacy data, their GPS coordinates, for instance, fertilizer receipts, and other data, and issue what's known as a simplified certificate of carbon intensity to the ethanol plant. And that is supposed to help protect the proprietary information of that farm. But we'll see what happens at the hearing in May on this.
Yeah, of course, the big worry, right? Who owns their data? Yeah. While the technology to capture CO2 exists at ethanol plants today, the infrastructure to move it, currently the biggest bottleneck. I mean, what are we talking about? Is this policy and permitting issues here?
Well, it's legal issues, too. What the big bottleneck here is that, of course, the major way that an ethanol plant can drive that CI score down and pop the credit up is to use CO2 pipelines. Well, those are in court in North Dakota, South Dakota. South Dakota's got a new law on it, Iowa, and that's creating kind of a bottleneck in the system. And this 45Z credit is only temporary. It only goes through 2029. And it's going to take some time for these things to work out in the courts. So there may just be a temporary window for these plants for the enhanced credit, even assuming the pipelines get up to speed in 27 or 28. Then it's up to Congress to extend the enhanced credit beyond 2029.
So still waiting for some certainty with this as the year moves forward, but a lot of great information, Roger, as always. Thank you for joining us. Always appreciate you being here. Roger McEowen with the Washburn School of Law.